We are moving into a week of consolidation when it comes to action and also socializing because it's the season of Gemini, which is the networker and socializer and almost salesperson of the zodiac. Hi, I'm Marissa Lise Paz, and I'm a life coach and astrologer, and this is your cosmic weather for the week of May 18th. So we're going to start Monday with two shifts. One, it's Venus going into, let me look at my notes, Cancer. Okay. We've got Venus going into Cancer. If you have Venus in Cancer, you know how cozy this is going to feel. Venus is the planet of love, finances, your decoration style. So many things that we tend to associate with feminine energy. But really, we have all of that information inside, and all of us have feminine energy, and all of us have our Venus as well as our Mars, masculine energy. And we're going to feel it like things start to turn a little bit more cozy, nourishing. You want to really feed people. You want to nurture those who you love. You want to feel nurtured by those who you love. And this is very Venus in Cancer energy, this nourishing, nurturing energy, because Cancer is the sign of the mother in the zodiac. So you're going to want to mother people. Please don't smother, just mother. And you're going to want to protect, you're going to want to pamper, you're going to want to provide. That kind of energy is what we're moving into when it comes to Venus. And that starts on Monday, May 18th, and it's going to go for Venus is going to stay in that Cancer, cozy Cancer energy for about 3.5 weeks. And then it's going to switch into a different sign, the next sign, which will be Leo. And we also have Mars making its shift, Mars entering Taurus, same day, May 18th, Monday. Mars in Taurus. If you have this in your natal chart, you know that this is slow and steady finishing energy. So Mars is coming off of being in the sign that it rules, which is Aries. And in that sign, it feels all the speed to move forward and take action. Jackson, do the thing, make the moves, probably not stopping to see if they make a lot of sense or if they are step one, step two, step three. You're just going to run with it. And that is fantastic because if you think about in terms of the tarot, the first card of the tarot is known as the Fool. And the Fool is kind of what you have to be if you're going to be starting something because analysis paralysis, which is something that a lot of people get into when they're going to launch a business, start a relationship, maybe move somewhere else or make some kind of move, especially if you're Virgo or if you have more earthy signs, more practical signs. Gonna want to think about things. You want things to be very, very grounded and practical. And sometimes you're never going to feel ready. And in that analysis, you're going to lose the opportunity. Maybe you're going to miss the timing. Maybe you're going to delay the thing that you're meant to be doing already. And so, coming off of Mars in Aries energy and stepping into Mars in Taurus is going to feel like a slowdown when it comes to taking action and doing the thing. Okay. Whatever it is that you're doing, that's okay because all the energy you have been feeling with Mars in Aries, this Mars being the planet of action, you're going to be now channeling into the steady consolidation and finishing of all of the plans, the things, especially if you took your time this weekend, as I advised, to seed whatever you wanted to seed for abundance and for love and money and relationships and your future when it comes to finances in the new moon in Taurus this past weekend. If you took advantage of that, then you're going to be able to then carry all those seeds really slowly. This is your Mars and Taurus energy is going to be the watering, really all the maintenance after you have seeded the plant. Okay? So you have made the seeding of the idea when it comes to your finances, relationship, whatever it was that you seeded in the new moon. And now you have Mars and Taurus stays in there for it's going to stay in this sign for about 6 weeks. You have about 6 weeks to really slowly but deeply, steadily, in a very secure way, really finish putting all the pieces together that you need to put together. Okay, this is not rush energy at all. You're going to feel like you're not going to be running around just doing things. You're going to be wanting to take a beat and see what really feels like the right move and what feels like it's going to be the move. And here's the key word: for the long haul, the sustainable move. Okay, so when you have Taurus energy, you want things to last. This is the earthiest of all the earth signs in the zodiac. And so it's not just a fixed sign, it's a fixed earth sign. And so this is something that we call Taurus the immovable mountain sometimes because of stubbornness, but it's really perseverance energy. If you really, we have to hone in on the conscious, what I call the conscious and more productive energy of the sign, not the less conscious and less productive energy. And in the less productive category, we have stubborn energy, or I'm just going to keep doing the thing even if it doesn't make sense. But in the more productive side of things, we have perseverance, we have patience, we have steadiness. On the negative side, we have settling. Okay. On the productive, positive side, we have you keep going until you're done. And Aries, Mars in Aries, wasn't that kind of energy. So this is where astrology is really beautiful in us understanding the evolutionary process that every single being, entity, even business, relationship, all of those are still entities and things, right? Energy, organized energy that wants to start, wants to concentrate, and wants to shift into something that is the next level. This is what is happening. So you'll feel whatever action you've been taking is going to maybe lose a little bit of speed, but gain in focus, direction, and your ability to really hone in on what it is that you want to carry for the long haul. That's what I'm going to say. I know that's a lot on Mars and Taurus, but it's really beautiful energy. And I know it gets a bad rap because it's like, hey, we had all this energy with Mars and Aries, and Mars feels really comfortable in Aries making things happen. But this Mars and Taurus piece is key because so many people just go from, and I'm telling you as a life coach, I see this when I was business coach, also saw this, and I coach a ton of entrepreneurs, not so much in their business, but in who they get to be in order to make the business what it gets to be. Okay, because this is your baby. You're going to show up for your baby in the way that you need to show up so that the baby can have everything it needs in order to grow. All right. I always say there's no bigger personal development arena than being a business owner. And if you're a business owner, you know what I'm talking about because it is going to ask a ton of you. The other biggest arena is being a parent. Oh my goodness. It is going to ask of you a ton of change, of shifting, of going into your wounds, of really understanding who you are, of leveraging tools like astrology to understand your children, to understand, you know, children are a project, businesses are a project, and you get to understand what this wants to become. And at some point, those energy projects get to do their own thing, like the child, like the business that you then takes a shape of its own. It starts to tell you what it wants to become beyond what you would want it to become through sheer will. Okay, so that's the process. We've had all this Aries energy for just really getting motivated to do the thing. Now we have the consolidation phase, the patience phase, the taking it to the end, and the long haul phase. Okay, and you have that for about 6 weeks with Taurus. We do have midweek. Okay, that was Monday. Then we've got 2 days later on Wednesday. We have a very big shift, which is now we step out of Taurus season. So, we've been with the sun in Taurus. That is Taurus season. And we've been feeling that slower pace already, right? So it's not too different than what we've been feeling. But now in action, it's going to be a little more into consolidation than it is into trying new things randomly, okay? And we're stepping into the season of the social network, what originally Instagram and Facebook and all social media was supposed to be social. Okay. Gemini rules that kind of energy, the energy of connection, the energy of, small data running around trying to connect one thing, connect the dots between one thing and the other, communication, connecting with other people very, very quickly. That is Gemini energy. And on Wednesday, we step into Gemini season. The sun will move into, from Taurus, sun will move into Gemini. So sun in Gemini, if you are a sun in Gemini, this is your season. And you understand exactly what I'm talking about because even if you are, not a lot of Geminis are very shy, but even if you are shy or you are, like me, kind of a homebody, like you still will be pushed a little bit out of your comfort zone, especially because Uranus is also in Gemini and there's going to be a lot of conjunction dancing and stuff that I'm going to talk about with that. You're going to be pushed out of your home body comfort zone if that's what your comfort zone is, and you're going to step into social life, talking to people, friends, making new friends, getting in touch with your tribe, old friends coming in. That's the case for me, for example. I've got friends coming in exactly this week. One of them is a Gemini. They're coming in from other countries. And, as a homebody, I know they're going to bring me out and they're going to be taking me all these different places where I normally probably wouldn't go because I just, as a moon in Cancer, love being at home and being cozy. So that's the growth edge. When it's Gemini season, you get to socialize, regardless of if you're an empath, HSP, introvert, shy person, whatever it might be, sun in Cancer or something, you just want to be in your cozy home and stick to your usual tribe. Well, you get to make the connections now. That's Wednesday on. Of course, every sign stays for about 30 days. And so we have a good month with the sun in Gemini connection energy. The sun in Gemini is going to step in there very close to Uranus, which has just started its very long stay in Gemini. Okay. And so that shift we talked about with Uranus stepping into Gemini a while back, well, the sun has just caught up with it. And on Friday, actually, there's going to be an exact conjunction between, I'm looking at Sun and Uranus, but there's also something additional there. Okay, so the Sun and Uranus. Sun is the essence. It's as a transit. It's what's going to activate. It's going to be like the general energy that you're going to be feeling. That's that social Gemini, making contact, small conversations, tapping into data, wanting to be in the know, social media ramping up, stuff like that. You're also probably going to feel some level of clarity because Mercury is in Gemini and it's going to be kind of like dancing around with the sun a little bit. So you've got Sun in Gemini, you've got Mercury in Gemini, you've got Uranus in Gemini. These are all speed planets besides the sun. But Uranus and Mercury, they're like, we're going to think, we're going to talk, it's going to be fun, it's going to be witty, it's going to be humorous, it's going to be informational, it's going to be brilliant, it's going to be insightful. And the biggest moment for that is going to be on Friday. Okay, because by Friday, we have an exact conjunction with the sun in Gemini, Uranus in Gemini as well. They're going to make that exact conjunction. So when the sun, which is the activator, the essence, core self, conjuncts the planet of innovation, technology, individuality, truth, and authenticity, we have a bit of an explosion. And what you're going to feel by Friday is a little bit of, do I have my tribe? There's two things, okay? This is two things. I love talking about how this is going to feel or play out, what it can look like, because we're talking about random things. If you love astrology, but you're like a lot of people that come to me, they're like, I love astrology, but I don't quite understand, and I do have a course on this in Spanish. I'll do one in English if required, but I know there's a ton of information on this anyway, and you can learn anywhere about this stuff. But if you would want to see something like this, please put it in the comments. Where it's like, well, I just want to know what it looks like, what it means, and what is it going to feel like? Well, Sun with an exact conjunction with Uranus, both in Gemini, is going to feel one of two ways. And it's going to look like one of two ways. And this is so funny because actually my friends that are coming in from out of town are coming in Friday with the exact conjunction. So talk about exact energy playing out exactly as I'm going to tell you. Okay, so the first way is Because Uranus is the planet also of individuality, because it's the planet that rules Uranus. It's the planet that brings out the weird in you, whatever that may be. And that's not a negative word. That's a word that means whatever makes you unique. Okay. Uranus wants you to tap into your unique essence of what makes you who you are, what makes you authentic, what makes you like nobody else. And that's where astrology is beautiful because you're not just an Aquarius or a Leo. You're an Aquarius with a moon in Cancer, with a Venus in Pisces, and you're a Leo with a, moon in Virgo and in a rising in Sagittarius and all this stuff. And you have all these things connecting to each other. And there's absolutely no chart that's exactly equal to each other, because even if you're a twin, and I've done charts for twins, you're born a minute later or 2 minutes later or something, and that will shift something in your chart and you will express that completely differently. So very, very interesting that on Friday we get to tap into what's unique for us. So one of two ways. One, you're going to be like, how do I individuate within my tribe? Right? So, for example, I've got my friends coming into town and they've got all these things planned. We've got the WhatsApp and in the description, we've got the entire agenda of what they want to do and where we're going to go and where and again, I'm a total homebody, cozy, like that kind of person, but I love my friends. And so wherever they're going to go, we're going to go. In that, it's like, okay, well, I need to tap into what feels right for me. So, out of all these plans, maybe some of the things you guys get to do, and I get to step out and maybe, I don't know, do my business, record my videos, do the stuff that I do, or maybe take a break because as an empath, I get to really just recharge my energy outside of social circles or a lot of activity, outside of, let's call it this, feeling other people's fields. Hmm? If you're an empath or highly sensitive person, you understand exactly what I mean. We recharge, and this is an introvert thing as well, but we recharge on our own because we have to really get back in touch with our own energy fields. And if you don't do that as an introvert, empath, or highly sensitive person on HSP, good luck to you, my friend, because you will be drained and not be in your full capacity, best mood, full energy in order to expand on something else, and people will feel it. You will feel it, your work will suffer, etc. So you need to be very mindful, be very, very good with your energy, especially during such a social season such as Sun in Gemini season. Okay, so that's one way. How do I individuate within the tribe? Okay, and the other thing is going to be, you know my tribe of the social circle that I get to call my own. Like, who is it? Like, let me identify. If I don't have a tribe, if you don't have people coming into town like I do on this exact same day of this conjunction, okay, if you don't have a tribe coming in, who is your tribe? And in order to find your tribe, because I know that there's a ton of, there's like an epidemic of loneliness, because social media didn't even achieve the purpose that it was supposed to achieve, which is to connect people of like-mindedness. There's a lot of trolling. There's a lot of difficult things. People are scared of social media because of the trolls, because people easily can come and leave a comment here and say, I don't consider YouTube social media, but on Instagram, let's say, but even here, they can come in and say, hey, I don't like this, don't like the way your hair look, whatever it might be. And people will get offended. I'm fine because I know I'm here doing a service. I'm doing what I'm meant to do, my purpose. I'm here sharing the information, and whoever's going to like it and it's going to land with them as a soul, that's my people, that's my tribe. So if this is you, you're my people, you're my tribe. Okay. If you're into astrology for personal development, for achieving your goals, for grounding it and using it, not as an excuse, but as a tool to tap into and reconnect with your soul purpose, your soul map, your destiny, your strengths, your challenges, the true path that your soul decided for you to do in this lifetime, then you're my people. Okay. If you are like, pop astrology and pop horoscope, sun sign only, or sun moon rising or whatever, and you're trying to just make excuses as to, well, that's how I am because, Pluto is in this. No, that's not what we do here. And there are plenty other places where you can get information, and you're probably going to have a lot more fun in those places. This is a place of depth because that's how highly sensitive people do any of their work. And if you're an HSP like me, you're my tribe because we do things in depth. We go all in. Anyway, veering back, we are going to have then two things, right? With this Friday Uranus Sun exact conjunction, you're going to be individuating within your tribe, or you're going to be looking for that tribe. Who is my tribe? And the tip with this, because Uranus is the sign of authenticity, and because there's such a big deal with authenticity, studies being done that it's the highest frequency vibration, but we already knew that because it's truth. What's authenticity other than truth? And truth is the highest thing, right? And it's also the antibiotic of everything in this world not going right. And the more we can stick to it, the greater our lives will be. Okay, transparency, it's just takes so many cobwebs away from anything in our lives, energy wise. Truthfulness. So recommendation from Uranus is be 100% yourself. If you are like, considered in your family, for example, oh my gosh, you're so weird because you're into this and you're into that, or the way you talk or the way you dress or whatever, fly that freak flag. It's weird time. Go for it, because there is absolutely no other way to find your tribe. There just isn't. And if you are someone who dot 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 and you're trying to be someone else, then all those people who dot 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 just like you are not going to find you. They're not going to be able to recognize you. So this is another calling and awakening for exactly that. This Friday, you have the opportunity to tap into that energy of who am I, uniquely, and what makes me me, and how do I really show up for people to find me in that way? Okay, how do I really show up for people to find me in that way? It was, for example, I'll give you an example personally. It was took a lot for me to show up as an astrologer, even though I've been doing astrology since I was 15 years old, before, by hand, drawing them and doing charts deeply, with pencil and a protractor and all this stuff. 35 years later, 34 years later, now I'm 49. It has taken me a while because I come from a high corporate world, CEO, this and that, and all that stuff. And in that world, up until Pluto stepped into Aquarius, in that world, talking about astrology or patterns like this or trends was like a very behind the scenes thing. Only those people who would talk about it behind closed door would be like, okay, yeah, I know the validity of this. I know how to use this. I use it too. Like, I'm super into it, but I would never mention it to anyone. Well, now it's a different world. Okay. And so I think it feels safer for those of us who have intuitive gifts, for those of us who are into metaphysical things, whose soul decided to come in and be a bit of a voice, a beacon, share way shower of these kinds of things to people. It feels a little bit safer now, even within the context of the trolling and all those things. If you are secure in what you are doing, this is our time. A few years back, there were a ton of people in this same world who just took a step back and really left social media, YouTube. There was a bit of a cocoon period. Now it's a totally different period. And all of us who are, who have these gifts to share with the world, like, me, who was able to read a chart ever since I was 15 years old. And astrology showed up for me and I just knew what it was. And I was, it was my thing. And it was my thing before even I went to college. And still, it wasn't like I became an astrologer, professional astrologer, and started doing charts for, paid the way that I do now for people at that time. No, I went to college, because I was like a smarty pants, went to college, studied journalism. I've worked in TV and magazines, in newspapers, editor, reporter, this, that, all this stuff, director of this and all these things. And it just, it was part of my path. And if you have a part of your path that was a little more intellectual, a little more corporate, but you had a deep intuitive side to you that didn't show up, now is the time when it's going to show up. I mean, in public, okay? Because I'm sure it's been showing up for you this whole time, but maybe you weren't honoring it, you weren't honing it, you weren't really flying that flag with it. If you're going to find your tribe, and this is the energy of Friday, May 22nd. If you're gonna fly your flag, you're gonna find your people. If you're gonna still hide, not fly your flag, not be 100% who you are, not bring forth those intuitive gifts, that side of yourself that's more of a softer side, maybe, maybe for men, it's your feminine side, showing more those feelings, which I know society doesn't support, or maybe didn't a while back, but now things are different and you're able to come out and really show who you are on an intuitive level, on an emotional level. And maybe it feels really strange. Maybe it feels like you have no idea how to do it. Mm. I have coached those men, and they really want to go and have that transformation of this is where I started and what society wanted me to do, and I did it. And now it feels like that's not it. It's not it. It feels like it's not it. It feels empty. It feels not enough. Um, it feels like I'm ready for something else. If that's you, reach out to me because through coaching, we can really help you get to where you really feel whole and you feel like you're in that aligned path, that right energy, you're feeling joyful and motivated and connected again. If people complain that you are not present, if people complain that you are not quite yourself anymore, that there's something where you're not showing up the way that you used to show up, you're probably in a transition, you're probably in a period of awakening, and those are the people that I absolutely love to support as a coach, to support, to accompany you, to guide you, and really hold you accountable to that transformation. Because if it's showing up and you're feeling it, it's the time for you to go through it and get to the other side. But to do it alone is not the most recommended thing because it's a hard thing sometimes to do this alone. Okay. All right. Enough said. So you've got the authenticity that has to come in, okay, and that you are going to really, really feel called to showing up 100%. And you have the tribe component, and you have the enjoying that the tribe, and you have the finding that tribe. So however it's going to look like for you, that's kind of the energy for the for towards the weekend. By Sunday, we have Sun and an exact square, which is a challenging aspect. Okay, it's a challenging feeling. It feels like there's tension there. Okay, with the nodes. Now, the nodes are your points of destiny, your points of purpose. There's always two, and they're always opposing. And these are right now in South Node is in Virgo and North Node is in Pisces. They're getting really, really close to shifting into Leo and Aquarius. We're going to talk about that in a separate video. But they're going to be Sun exact square with the nodes. So Sun in Gemini is going to be, I believe, at 4 degrees with the exact square with the nodes, also at 4 degrees. Gemini squaring North Node in Pisces. Sun in Gemini squaring South Node in Virgo. What is this going to feel like and look like, and what's the opportunity? That's the point, right? So when you have a square, you have a challenging situation. And the energy of Virgo and Pisces, that axis, is an axis of service. It's an axis of right here in Virgo, we have the South energy of analysis, of Virgo is known for potentially stepping into analysis paralysis. So you have the energy of I'm going to overthink and think things through way, way, way too much. You also have that gift of logic, which, by the way, Gemini, the sun in Gemini, loves. So both Gemini and Virgo are ruled by Mercury. So there's a lot of mind stuff. If there's a square between these two, there can be burnout, overthinking, thinking too much before doing the thing. And with Pisces, Pisces just wants to flow. So this is energy of spirituality, of flow, the service towards humanity, whereas this is service towards the universe. And this energy here with Virgo is service towards your immediate circle, your circle of influence, your job, all that kind of stuff. This is routine, this is flow, this is spirit, this is just tapping and tuning in. And so with Gemini squaring both of these, we're just going to feel maybe like we need to rest. By Sunday, this energy that we have that's coming in, that's social, it's going to ask you for a bit of a break. You're going to need to take a moment. You're going to need to not feel burnt out. Of course, then the sun the next day on Monday is going to be 55 degrees. It's going to start to break out of this square with all these and moving very quickly into breaking. By the end of the next week, we're not going to feel any of this. Okay. So this is just concentrating on Sunday. And you may want to tap into when it comes to socializing, when it comes to the service that I provide to the world, when it comes to my job, when it comes to the service I provide to the world, when it comes to my participation in the collective, in the universe, in humanity, what are my boundaries? Where do I need to, just take a mental break and just recharge? What leads me to burnout when it comes to my social circle and what doesn't? When it comes to service that I'm doing, that's energy of service and what doesn't. So really tap into that. That's the opportunity here. Okay. So it's not just going to feel like, wait a minute. Okay. I'm burning out. Something's a little too much. I'm overthinking things. I'm not going with the flow enough. Okay. Because remember, the North Node is the direction we want to go into. So we want to step out of the overanalysis and step into the spirituality and the flow. And so Gemini is like, okay, but we need the information, but. And North Node is like, yeah, but we just need you to flow. Maybe we don't need that much structure or to follow the plan exactly like Virgo had it. And like my friends who have in the WhatsApp description all the agenda of what we're doing, boom, 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 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Maybe that's gonna be the opportunity. And I'm gonna have to be like, all right, guys, we get to flow tonight and we just get to do nothing and we just get to relax, tune into the Venus and Cancer, maybe order something to eat and maybe just play a game. Or maybe just rest and watch a movie and just do nothing and then continue on the rest of the week with all the stuff you get to do. Okay? Take your break on Sunday. Take that moment so that you don't burn out, you don't feel overwhelmed, you don't get into overanalysis or analysis paralysis, and you tap more into the flow of things. Okay? And that's your week. That is your week in astrology for the week of May 18th. Again, I'm Maril Solis Paz, life coach and astrologer, and you have all the links in the description if you want to schedule your Astro Coaching Strategy session, which is a reading in which we're going to also do some coaching as needed, and you're going to leave with a strategy for you to implement whatever we discovered through your chart, okay? And also single session coaching to do more of the coaching stuff with the subconscious reprogramming, with the nervous system, all the things that are going to allow you to move from fear into creativity, from stuck, overwhelmed, and unable to really figure out what is your next best move for whatever it may be it parenting, be it business, be it work, be it career, be it relationship, and step into the clarity and confidence to make that next move. Okay, all the links are below. And of course, I also have my long-term life coaching programs, and that is for that big transformation we talked about in the middle of this video, which is if you're feeling called to make a big shift, to have a project that you want to complete, and maybe that project is yourself, your own self-transformation, well, that's what I help usher or bring about or support you on. Okay. Until then, we will just be sending you all the love, sending you all the positive energy so that you can take the full advantage of the information that I just gave you and really harness the energy that all the planets are offering you this week and make the most of this beautiful stepping into more social time of Sun and Gemini and the consolidation of whatever you've been acting and doing and really putting into action with the Mars in Taurus finishing energy. I encourage you to take full advantage of that for the next 6 weeks because it may feel like a slowdown, but it's really a sustainability, settling of the dirt into the earth so that it can allow the super strong tree of whatever, the trunk of the tree of whatever the project is that you're working on, be it love, finances, or anything, to grow as tall as it needs to grow. Okay. So until the next video, I send you all the love and we'll see you next time.